right?
So,
So there is no real preview on Facebook. However, LinkedIn gives you that nice little cushion. You're able to see yourself, test your mic, make sure that you're not too loud, make sure you're not hurting anyone's ears, and allows you to fix your picture quality before
right,
you go live.
right. Yeah. So what's interesting is on one screen, I have the Zoom platform, so I can actually see, the picture right now, and then it's the delay picture that comes in on the other screen on the LinkedIn Live piece. So this is, I think, with a little bit of work, this might be a cool platform to put a message out during the week and just get on and maybe just talk about something, maybe have a guest on, just do a short little 15-20 minute presentation, right?
You know what you could also do that I feel would be very beneficial to your viewers is to, on Monday ask questions, right?
Hmm.
Your post should be focused on, what people want to hear, what people are wondering about, and on Wednesday, answer those questions. Or
Oh,
on Tuesday, have a pretty set schedule of, hey, today's Q&A, or here's questions for today, and you'll get your answers on Tuesday,
oh, that's
right?
interesting. Yeah, that's kind of
I
an
think they were a nice little platform of interaction.
yeah, yeah. I went live the other night with somebody on another platform, and it was late. It was like 8 o'clock in the evening, and we had a bunch of people that came on. So it was interesting. We had a good conversation, and a good conversation about multifamily. Actually, one of my partners, I have a couple of partners right now that we're working on a 40-unit apartment building in Tampa. Getting ready to try and close it. I shouldn't say try, getting ready to close it. It's an interesting property. It's 40 units. It has 24 two-bedroom townhouses and 16 one-bedroom duplexes. So they're the almost like they are two separate properties, and they're about 4 blocks away from each other. What's nice though is it's a real heavy value add. So we're going to go in and we're going to put a bunch of capital improvements. We're actually going to spend somewhere around 450,000 on capital improvements. We see that we should be able to push the rents about $200 to $250 a month per unit. And why? Because that's a big rent push, especially in the first year. But why is because this owner's owned this property for like 11 years and he hasn't done a lot to it. So it's really kind of run down. He just maintained it really. And there's a couple of tenants that have lived there for a long time, and those units need full rehabs. But what's interesting is that when you take a property like this and you have the ability to go in, put some capital improvements in, and that could be in the form of exterior. We're going to do a bunch of exterior, so we'll pressure wash everything, cut the landscaping back, get a landscaping contractor to come out and just make it look nice. It's curb appeal, right? It's a big value add component, and then some paint. We're going to put some shutters on some of the front windows, paint the shutters an off color. We're going to paint the buildings gray, and a couple of new roofs, make it look nice, right? Because it's curb appeal. And what you do by doing that then is you enhance the neighborhood. There's a couple of things when you buy a property, and I like multifamily because multifamily is a business. I go in, I buy a multifamily, I buy a business. I walk away from closing and I'm automatically earning money because I have revenue coming in on a monthly basis. And now what I have to do is I have to re-engineer that business. And there's a couple of ways I can do that. I can do it by increasing income. How do you increase income? Well, you might have to do repairs. Might have to do maintenance. You might have to do overall curb appeal. And when you do that curb appeal, what you do is you enhance the neighborhood. And by enhancing the neighborhood, other properties on the block look better. People want to take care of their property a little bit more, and now you have the ability to raise rents. So that re-engineering process, there's a whole strategy behind it. And if you work with an operator or an owner operator that's done it for a while, done thousands of units, and you start to see how that can work property after property. So now what we'll do is we'll put all these capital improvements in. will put a new tenant in. Now you might say, well, today if I have a tenant living there that's paying $900 a month, how am I going to find a tenant to pay $1,200 a month? Well, what's interesting is 2 miles away, the rent increases have gone to $1,400 and $1,500 a month. That tenant that was paying $1,200 a month can't pay that $1,400 or $1,500. They're coming to the northern side of Tampa and moving into those properties. So it's kind of a switch of tenant. Now I'm taking a better tenant from a different side of town. I'm moving them into here. We're increasing the property value, the curb appeal, the tenant base, and now increasing the overall value of the property by doing it. So it's all part of exit planning. And you know I'm huge on exit planning, Carol, but this is all part of exit planning. What's nice is this particular property is really close to Busch Garden and Adventure Island. It has an Airbnb component that we'll be able to exercise on it. So there's great advantages. I did a post on social media this morning that talked about the 10 reasons why I like the Tampa multifamily real estate market. And the biggest key in that post was that the rent increases have been an average of 12% over the last 30 months. So it's an average of 12%. If I look at that South Central Florida market right now, what I'm seeing in that market is that the average rent has gone up 20% in the last 12 months. That's a huge jump. When we look nationally at rent increases, nationally rents have gone up just about 4%. And from that, you know, this market's 20%. Can you imagine how we're going to drive property values and what's going to happen as a result of that? So when in my underwriting, and now this is a whole nother subject, and underwriting is just a fancy word for saying, hey, we're looking at this property, we're looking at the income, the expenses, what my net operating income is going to be, can I pay my mortgage, what the value of the property is. It's just all the inputs around that to give me answers that are going to help me to drive my property value. So that underwriting tells me that if I hold this property for 4 to 6 years, I'm going to see a profitability margin somewhere around 23%. So it's interesting. Oh, so the thing about the underwriting was I'm conservatively at 4% showing my rent growth. So I'm seeing this growth in these metrics at a conservative level of 4%. Could you imagine if we hit 20% rent growth, what'll happen in that property? So I'm excited about it. My partners are excited about it. My partners happen to be a couple of coaching clients that I have been working with. They have really come to the table and stepped up. And what I like is, you know, a decade ago, Carol, when I was doing multifamily, you did everything yourself. You bought the property yourself, you managed it yourself, you closed on it, you got the mortgage. But today you put strategic alliances together, you put good partnerships together. And I found a couple of really good partners that I'm just really, you know, we all pick up the ball when we need to pick it up to carry it. And we're all moving towards the finish line, which is great. You know, one of my partners is great at marketing and she does a great job with the detail, right? Looking at the legal documents and the things like that, and just making sure that we're compliant, that we're doing everything right. And then my other partner is really good with raising capital, as well as with working with contractors and property managers, which I am as well. He and I complement each other really well. We might step on each other's toes from time to time, but we work through that really well. And the three of us have really learned to work together good. He will also take on the responsibility of making sure the financials are in place and in order as I handle more of the construction management and the property management. All three of us will raise capital and we'll get it closed. But we did bring in one key partner. And what's interesting is today, in order to get agency debt might be Fannie and Freddie or HUD. You have to have somebody who's got experience in that space. You have to have somebody who's got that type of loan, has closed properties with Freddie or Fannie funding. And we brought a key partner in who, his group owns 25,000 units around the country, another 100 million in other asset classes. So they're a pretty big group and pretty substantial in what they do. So we're excited about what we've put together as a partnership and how we're going to be able to deliver for anybody else who partners with us. So it'll be interesting. So hope some of that made sense to you.
Thank you for sure. I feel like a lot of the times when people ask these questions, there's other questions that pop up. And I know for me, one, I saw something online that someone says, don't, the difference between multifamily and duplex. And I didn't know that there was a difference. And in terms of, just how everything crumbles down to getting the right property and getting the right loan and the right, I guess, just all the things that could apply or could not apply depending on the things that you get
Right.
or the type of property that you get. To me, that was just, just hearing you talk about like the Tampa market and other people that I read and I follow, it creates a confusion sometimes. So I think this Q&A thing that you want to set up for people will definitely be beneficial for
Right.
people like me, for current investors who want to pick your brain about something. I think this could be definitely the platform to do that.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it'll be good. So I'm looking forward to trying to utilize this a little bit more. I think I'll figure out in a schedule. Maybe what you said. Maybe it is going live on Mondays at 11:30 or something for a quick period of time, and then coming, answering some questions or just giving a little dialogue about something, some lesson, right? Something to teach somebody. Because look at over the last year, you just hanging around with me and running my events, which Carol and the Marchan group are just great at helping me run my events, do some social media, and I'm so appreciative of that and what I've learned from you, and listen to yourself about what you've learned from me, right, about multifamily and real estate and how so I think people from hanging around and just getting those lessons will learn a lot more and can go out and build their business. So
Absolutely. I think, I found something out about myself too. I had no desire to be a homeowner ever whatsoever. And I feel that that's the biggest investment I could make. So I've learned so much just by working alongside you. And you've opened up my brain to all these different ideas and within real estate. So for sure, this is something. I mean, I know I'm always grateful of all the information you put out because sometimes it's directed at me or my type, of audience, and sometimes it's above me, right? But at least I'm learning from all different aspects to see what interests me, what doesn't interest me, and then I just reach out to you and I say, hey, I have a question.
yeah, yeah. So all right. Well, hey, this was great today. One last thing I just want to make a comment on. I have a live event coming up. If people are looking for information, knowledge, content, I have a live event coming up in Schaumburg. Schaumburg is about 20 minutes from O'Hare Airport if you're going to fly in. However, it is October 14th, 15th, and 16th. It's a Thursday, Friday, Saturday from 9 to 5, all 3 days. And we're going to do a deep dive into multifamily. I'm going to talk about everything from the success I've had, the failures I've had, and what I've learned as a result of that, and how I've rebuilt from that. But I'm going to talk about the things that you don't want to do in multifamily. You don't want to grow too fast, too big, or too big, too fast. You don't want to be undercapitalized. You can't be over leveraged, and you really have to pay attention to the details. And I'm going to talk a lot about that and how that works into your life. I'm going to talk about exit planning and how we need to have a good exit plan before we get to closing. We're gonna do a deep dive into how to find a good property, whether it's on market or off market, and how to build strategic alliances in order to do that. And then once you find a property, how are you going to evaluate it? Evaluate the submarket, the market, the schools, the crime rate, the jobs, what makes sense. And so we'll deep dive into that. Then that fancy word underwriting, we're gonna use a tool that when I first got in multifamily, I didn't have a tool. Today I have one. I'm going to share that with you. You'll get a copy of it along with a 1 hour class on how to use it. And that tool will give you the ability to say, this is a deal I want to do, or it's a deal I don't want to do. So you'll have those opportunities also. And then we're going to talk about structuring deals and business structure and raising private capital, which everybody's always interested in, you know. So, but yeah, so thanks for being here. Thanks for checking in. If you were online with us this morning, I appreciate you. And if you have questions or need anything, don't hesitate to reach out. So, Carol, I'm going to end the live stream.
Sounds good. We've been live for 24 minutes and 30 seconds.
Yeah, end broadcast. Looks like we're done. Looks like we checked out. I'm going to end the live stream here. Stop